The battle to produce a safe and reliable battery-powered car is underway. Car manufacturers are beginning to recognise that an environmentally sound vehicle could well be the future of travel by road. Toyota believes it's found a solution in the form of the Prius. In today's society, there are over 23 million cars on the road. The sheer weight of all this traffic brings towns to a standstill every day, which in turn releases a cloud of gas emissions into our environment.
The idea behind Prius and a hybrid car at all was really the pressure that the world has got from an environmental point of view. Everyone enjoys the benefits of mobility that the passenger car gives them, but we've got the issue of greenhouse gases emissions, and everyone's looking at an alternative source for powering cars. What the hybrid system does is try and pick up on the best of both worlds, so the electric motor to help it in slow-moving traffic or to accelerate away, and the petrol motor to use it for cruising at a steady speed. Really, that's the most efficient use of both of those kinds. And because the petrol motor charges the battery on board, so you don't have to plug the car in, it's always replenishing itself, so it's a self-contained unit. And the user just has to fill it up with petrol as they would a normal car, but because it uses much less petrol, they do that less often and it produces less emissions.
The Toyota Prius has what's known as regenerative braking, which means that during heavy braking or on long hills, kinetic energy is converted into electrical energy from the rear brakes. This is similar to that used in an electric train. The vehicle is ideally suited to towns and city environments where, for example, the car can be driven around for quite long periods on its actual electric motor alone, which means it's totally emissions-free and is causing no harm to the atmosphere at all.
The Prius may be every eco-warrior's dream, but it needed to prove itself as more than just the latest in a long line of electric milk floats. Enter Nick Berg, a savvy motorsport journalist who proposed a 5,000-mile rally as a fitting test for the car. Joining Nick as the co-driver is smooth-talking PR guru and rally virgin, Tim Bampton.
60 easy right, followed by 70 over crest.
When Nick approached us about using the Prius for a rally, we were very interested because we'd been looking for something to do with it like that anyway. The Prius is the world's first hybrid car, so there was a whole load of world's firsts that we could try and go for. And we thought about racing the car, but a long-distance rally was even better.
I was invited on the Midnight Sun to Red Sea Rally by the organiser, but with the proviso that I got an interesting car to take part in. And I was looking for something that had never been rallied before, something to make the adventure even more of an adventure, I suppose. And nobody had ever, to my knowledge, built a hybrid car for competition of any description, let alone a marathon rally.
The last thing that was ever on the designers' minds was charging down through Europe and doing rallying in it. So there was a number of questions we had to ask about could we turn it into a rally car. We knew it wouldn't be the fastest one, but we wanted to make it strong and safe and reliable.
70 water splash, caution, loose afterwards.
For Tim, the Midnight Sun to Red Sea challenge was far too tempting.
Well, Nick came to me and said, listen, if I were to do this, would you be interested in co-driving it? It sounded fantastic, the trip, the journey through all the countries. And the co-driver was a challenge, and I looked into it a little bit and thought, well, it's a bit different and it's something I'll try and take on. And I also knew how Nick drove. I've obviously known him for a while. I also know how he drives, so I was quite comfortable with that.
Sorry, that went when I turned in, so that's...
So, with the car prepared and a game plan in place, our two likely lads made for Östersund in Sweden for the start of the Midnight Sun to Red Sea Rally. Their journey will take them to Poland, through to the Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania and Bulgaria, before the final stages through Turkey, Syria and Jordan. The Prius passed scrutineering. All that remained was Tim's last-minute preparations.
Have you got your list of checklists?
My list of checklists is just here. Entry list and start times, hotel rooming list, vehicle identity form, 2 books, 1 for technical reference, 1 for checklists.
You're getting a bit anal about all this paperwork, aren't you?
Very important actually, because sometime we're going to need it, and sometime it's going to be to hand because I've managed to get myself organised for once in my life.
So, with high spirits and a fully charged battery, our team began the first of the rally's 39 stages.
Nick Berg, very good luck to you. Next stop, Jordan.
We had to finish, and so that was the number one objective. I mean, secretly we wanted to do as well as we possibly could, but we're both new to rallying, so the whole thing was a massive learning experience.
3, 2, 1, go. 300 long left.
We started the rally on some special stages in Sweden, which are used in the World Rally Championships, so they were really, really tough. We're both pretty new to it. I'd only driven on gravel a couple of times before. Tim had only navigated on gravel once before, and understandably, we got a few things wrong.
Nice and steady. Left, leg left. Sure it's left? It's right, Tim. Oh, Tim. Give me, okay, go. Just give me left.
But the co-driver's job is actually quite stressful. You're not along for the ride and enjoying the scenery. You're actually trying to make sure the car gets into the time control on time, not a minute early or late, otherwise you're penalised, and also giving the driver the right calls for the right directions at the right time.
And 160, open 90 right time.
The worst thing you can end up doing is calling a right when it should be a left and this kind of thing. And we had this problem on the first stage, and I think we sort of just went rushing into the stage, and we were so enthusiastic to get going. And again, one wrong turn could have cost us 10 minutes. And in this particular type of car, it wasn't that easy to make up, certainly if you had mountainous road sections to cross.
Immediate right at the junction.
We learned very early on not to argue in the car, because actually that was the cause of our first accident on the first stage. Tim had got a couple of things wrong, and I was trying to tell him off, and we were sort of debating it.
It's a very sharp left open. Hairpin left, sorry.
At that point I lost concentration, and really we just learned very quickly to not have those kind of discussions in the car.
Just warn me of the double cautions. I'm gonna, sorry, but for the moment, just try and...
Nick, just steady, take it steady, okay? Take it steady.
We're out.
Tim and I had a minor bust-up today. In the middle of stage one, he got his directions wrong, and I took offence. While we were debating about this, I managed to put the car off the road into a ditch, so the argument was pretty short-lived. I think I've forgiven him now, and he's bought me a beer and a hamburger, so, you know, I think we're all right.
After minor teething problems in Sweden, the lads enjoyed 4 smooth stages through Poland in 15th place. But as they moved into the Czech Republic, a disaster struck, potentially bringing a premature end to their rally.
Look what I have done. Wet road, very sharp right-hander coming into it at very high speed. Hopefully we can pull that out.
The crash really changed the rally for us in a way. I think looking back on it, for the best, because it threw a challenge in the middle of it for us. Just one of those stupid things that just so easily didn't have to happen. And I think after that, of course, we started to realise that this isn't a daily sprint, it is a marathon, and there are sort of 21 days in this event, not 1 or 2. So it changed our perspective on it, and we were so determined then to finish and get to the end.
Tim, don't get under it.
I think we felt absolutely awful at the prospect of not being able to finish, because as I said, the whole objective was to finish. I mean, we knew we weren't going to win. We knew that there wasn't any chance of that. The car just wasn't powerful enough, and that was never the objective. And it was absolutely heart-wrenching. We felt absolutely terrible. What made it worse was when the rescue truck arrived, they dropped the car from about 6 feet in the air straight onto its nose, and we had no idea what kind of damage was done.
Right, we're in JM Engineering in Ostravenice, and it's, as you can see, they build World Rally cars, so they know what they're doing. These guys are going to take the corner off and put the new one on, and hopefully get us going again as soon as possible.
We were so lucky that we found JM Engineering, this rally team in the Czech Republic, and these guys just were brilliant. I mean, they wouldn't take any payment, and they worked for about 8 to 10 hours on the car getting it fixed. And there were moments while the car was being fixed when the guys who were fixing it were shrugging their shoulders and going, you know, I don't think we can do this, I don't think we can do this. And we just kept sort of, you know, badgering them and helping them as best we could.
Just to say thank you. You have done so much work.
Thank you. Oh, thank
and
you very much.
You have kept us in the rally, I hope.
So, with a newly fixed Prius risen from the ashes and the Czech rescue truck well behind them, the team pushed on in a bid to make up time.
Well done. Good. It's all right, wasn't it? Yeah, it's fine.
The Prius was back on track as it completed stages 17 and 18 in Slovakia. Until, much to Tim's chagrin, they were dogged by yet another hold-up.
Well, I've just completed stage 20 of the event, stage 19 having been cancelled due to local Green Party activists protesting about the rally, which we were fairly miffed about, really, because we are the world's most environmentally friendly rally car, and at least we could have run the stage. It would have given us a chance to make up the time penalties we've incurred over the last few days.
Absolutely.
I was gutted, actually, really quite disappointed in that.
500, double caution.
With the Hungarian Green Party left hugging the trees, the lads headed for Romania and Bulgaria, where they faced some of the most difficult terrain so far on the rally. This would test the car's battery-powered reserves to the max.
The main problem with the power going uphill is that the battery was quite often drained out very quickly as we went uphill, just because we were demanding full power from the car.
This is the slowest we have ever gone on a special stage.
The moment that happens, some of the engine power is diverted to recharge the battery, and really that's the last time that we need it to happen. We almost need a switch to tell the ECU we don't want the battery recharging, we'll just stay with a petrol engine at the moment.
We might as well be parked. That is just so unfair.
Just didn't have the horsepower of things, and we were being overtaken by 30-year-old Volvos, which was terrible. But there was one particular stage, and it was very, very rutted, very, very bumpy, and some other cars were struggling as well. And the car just stopped. I think the electronics had just decided that they really didn't want to play, and that we really shouldn't be driving here at all.
Blimey, this is worse than last time.
It is, isn't it, actually?
It was probably the toughest bit of rutted track that we came across, and it was the only time in the event that was a problem for us.
We might have done some drive shaft or something.
No, it's just power.
You reckon?
Just try and tickle it up.
The vehicle was being driven for many, many hours at high speeds and under some very, very tough conditions and some very, very steep inclines. And this had the effect, unfortunately, where for a short period the vehicle had reduced power because the electrical motor was not able to generate enough power to drive the wheels as well as the petrol engine. But it certainly didn't fail.
The situation with a car like this, it wasn't designed as a hill climber or anything like that. It's a city car, and even now we know that they've got technology out and hybrid engines out that are much, much faster and much more powerful.
Despite the uphill struggles, the Prius was proving to be a reliable car, handling and performing well on the less demanding terrain.
420, double caution, tight right, then left.
I'd kill the camera because you can't see anything.
Leaving the fog of Bulgaria behind, the car had now completed 25 of the 39 rally stages, but was lying in last place after the accident. Turkey, Syria and Jordan awaited, with a massive 3,367 kilometres still to be traversed and a lot of time to make up. A change of terrain required a new set of tyres to handle the forthcoming gravel and desert that lay ahead. The lads were confident that this was the Prius's chance to shine.
We're all set now. We've got a new set of tyres, courtesy of Bridgestone. The car's been fettled at a Toyota dealer. Nothing can stop us now.
Or so they thought. The lack of uphill battery power still plagued the lads during the early Turkish stages.
Now we're crawling.
120, 90 left into 90 right.
I think we'll be there in 120 minutes. Uphill, disaster.
Yeah, I know.
When it was on the flat and going downhill, it was keeping up with everything else in a similar category, but it was just the knowledge that as soon as you came to a hill, unless you had a huge amount of momentum, then you were going to end up slowing down. And of course that also put the pressure on us to catch up downhill. So the moment we got to the top of the hill, basically we were absolutely flat out all the way down the other side.
And 90 right through ditch, maybe water.
Wrong.
Hey?
Yeah, no. Wrong. There.
Well, we've got to go steady or we're not going to get as far.
I know. I didn't know it was like that, mate. I couldn't do anything about
No, I know.
With the first two uphill stages out of the way, the boys began to find their feet on the Turkish gravel. Stages 26 and 27 saw them reeling in the competition.
160, medium left into hairpin right over bridge, double caution. We're on 1553, we're on the stage max already, Nick.
So he is on, is he?
We do not want to have an off.
No, we don't, but he has no...
270 medium left.
Come on then, Tom, move over.
We're not far from the end, Nick, so don't worry. Hairpin right coming up. here, yeah. Remember, it's quite tight here.
Well, he's over stage max.
Yeah, that's fine, so don't worry about him now. And we'll take out those gate posts on the way through and roll over the side. Never mind, we'll get them tomorrow. Well, we'll try anyway.
Better luck next time, lads. In the meantime, a quick village pit stop bolstered their spirits when they were treated to some good old Turkish TLC.
We're in Balakoy in Turkey after the first 2 stages of the day, and the welcome is fantastic. We've been given food and being mobbed for autographs. And they're having to push start the Cortina.
Refreshed by the hero's welcome, the Prius was keeping its cool, while some of the competitors wilted in the Turkish heat.
Okay. Right, I think I've picked myself back up here. Okay, that's a long over 90 right. Maybe
the car was brilliant in hot weather because it had air conditioning. Although we knew it probably sapped a few horsepower, we just thought it to stay cool made all the difference. I mean, it was awesomely reliable. Not a thing went wrong with it that we didn't cause. I mean, we had punctures, but they're totally unavoidable, really, on a rally. But mechanically, there was absolutely nothing went wrong with it. We wouldn't have to do anything. We didn't have to put any oil in it, no water, nothing. It was just totally reliable. It had this huge underbody protection and would go over bumps like no other car in the event. And although it didn't have the straight line speed of the others, we were able to make up in certain places where other people were losing out.
The car ran problem-free apart from what we did to it. And even then, you know, those problems were really something we could live with, and it didn't really affect us at all.
Despite the intimidating military presence at the Syrian border, the locals nevertheless pulled out all the stops to provide a tuneful welcome, much to the bemusement of the assembled rally competitors. There were no timed stages in Syria, just a long, tiring drive to the next ones.
The transport sections between the stages were quite long, and if we had a mountainous region we had to get across to get to the next time control, we were really up against it. And so I think it's probably true to say the car was driven pretty much flat out the whole event, and it took everything that was thrown at it in its stride.
We did 5,000 miles in 20 days, so the road sections between the special stages were tremendously long, and overall the days, I mean, we were doing 16-hour days or more as a matter of course, and we'd be lucky to get 5 or 6 hours sleep, so it was physically an exhausting thing to do.
With Syria a distant memory, the Prius headed for its biggest challenge yet. The arid heat of the Jordanian desert would test the team's physical staying power, with in-car temperatures rising to 40 degrees Celsius. The desert stages were not for the faint-hearted. Rough terrain, intense heat, and even camels would prove some match for the resilient Prius and its merry men.
Well, this is our first taste of the desert, and you can really taste it. The dust just gets everywhere, the sand and everything. But we're going to take it really steady today, run with the air conditioning on because it is getting seriously hot, and we're going to try and avoid all the big holes, the stones, the dirt, everything.
However, as the desert stages progressed, in addition to the heat, Tim's early navigation problems came back to haunt him.
This is very confusing. Some of these aren't going to be marked. Fast is indicated as a fast left. Is it round an escarpment of some kind, or
we
it
weren't
might
supposed
have
to cross that, were we?
Not looking, mate. I'm looking at the notes. Sorry.
The notes are provided to you, so you don't have a chance to reconnaissance a stage or anything. And what we would have called a certain corner, they made a different corner on the notes.
Through, yeah, it's not water, it's this one here. Okay. Caution, long 90 left through Wadi.
Yes.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah,
I think the other added pressure is that after you've made a mistake, the driver's clearly thinking, does he actually know where we are? Does he know what's actually going on? And if the driver's not really trusting you, then you're not fulfilling that role.
There's quite a trust that you need between the two of you, and I think the confidence sort of built between us as a team. We kind of got better and more confident and trusted each other more throughout the event.
Okay, now you can see the flying finish, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, triple caution, muddy, stay right. It goes through a ditch, the flying finish, so it's muddy, triple caution, stay right. Well done.
People will be lost on that.
Yeah,
The Volvo boys, I think.
I'll take a marker here.
We just got through the 2 desert stages, pretty much unscathed. We've torn a bit of rubber protection out from under the car, but there's no sign of the Volvo, so we've definitely made up time. It's difficult to know how much, but we've definitely made up time, and we survived pretty much unscathed, and that is the main thing. 2 more days.
2 more days.
The final 2 rally stages would prove a godsend to the boys and their Prius, with a mixture of surfaces, but mainly gravel, and most importantly, downhill all the way.
It was probably the most dangerous. It was on gravel and sand and tarmac, a whole mix of stuff. And there were these huge 300-foot drops, and I could see Tim kind of cringing in the passenger seat, and I was having an absolute ball.
Back off, Nick.
It's all right. I'm fine, actually, Tim. I'm enjoying
All
this.
right, good. We don't, it's just the rocks I'm worried about.
Well, I'm missing the rocks.
Okay, coming up on you now, 90 left to 90 right. Do not.
You can sense how hard the driver's having to work and how comfortable he is, and he was certainly the most comfortable on gravel. I think that's because our power disadvantage wasn't so pronounced when we were on gravel, and Nick's car control was able to sort of make the best of the surface.
We ended up 11th quickest overall, which in the car that should have been the 20th quickest, was pretty good going.
The 39th and final leg of the rally would be a rerun of the previous day's downhill stage, but with just 7 kilometres to go, the canyon bit back.
That is a puncture on the rear left, I think. Honestly, Nick, go slower, because if it decides to go, we're going to be in the wall.
I remember saying to Nick it was a puncture on the left, and I got it wrong. I think I said I thought it was on the rear. It was actually on the front left. Nevertheless, you could feel it as we went through the right-handers. It was just wallowing everywhere.
That is definitely gone on the left-hand side.
We'd battled our way from last position to get ahead of this Volvo that we'd been sort of fighting throughout the whole event, and we really, really didn't want to lose that place.
We've got to keep this rim on, mate. Yes.
We were then left in this situation where we had to decide to stop or go on, and there was only one option, which was to continue. If we'd stopped, we'd have been caught up by the Volvo, and that really would have been the worst way to finish the rally.
So I just kept driving and driving and driving. We ended up doing 7 kilometres on this tyre, and when we got to the end, it was absolutely finished. It was torn to pieces, the wheel was bent and buckled. I think poor Tim just thought we were never going to make it, and he looked absolutely distraught.
We got through, and we haven't lost more than 2 minutes on the Volvo. Well, drama to the end. Well done. Well done. Well done.
I remember throwing the map book on the dashboard out of frustration that we hadn't been able to go quicker, and that our rally could have ended 5 miles from the finish. But when I look back on it now, or even actually a few hours after that, I sort of became far more philosophical about it and thought, well, it's a rally, and in actual fact, it was totally poetic that happened.
We found out we were 15th overall, which we were very pleased about, because we didn't really, at the very start, expect to be anything other than last. And so I think we could give ourselves big pats on the back. I mean, we were just so relieved and so happy to have done it.
We always knew that the reliability would stand up on the vehicle. Toyota Prius is not an experimental car. It's very, very much a real-world car for use in the future and now.
For them to reach the finish at all in what, irrespective of the technology under the bonnet, was the least powerful car, probably the least suitable car for the event, was a really great achievement, both for the car but especially for Nick and Tim.
You were just getting snapshots as you went through, and it was a question of assimilating these images as you were going past villages and blasting through towns and through the countryside. It was just a question of realising, you were just passing through these people's lives in a second, but it was going to stay with you forever afterwards.
We took this car totally out of context, and we made it drive absolutely flat out for 5,000 miles over gravel and through forests and through deserts, and it handled brilliantly. I mean, I think we went into it with a bit of trepidation and didn't really know what to expect from the car, but it just ate it all up. It did spectacularly well, really.